focus. Ideate, innovate, enable.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Making Big. I'm your host A.B. Ravi. Today's story will give anyone goosebumps. Okay, let me put it straight. In my last 3 decades in business journalism, I have not come across any businessman, or for that matter anybody, who puts his life in danger to save a stranger. Mr. Kochouseph Chittilappilly, the founder of V-Guard Industries, did exactly that. He donated one of his kidney to a truck driver whom he had never met, that too at the age of 60. And what do you call this man? Superman. With that thought, let me turn to his business to find out what makes him a successful entrepreneur. 38 years ago, this first generation entrepreneur borrowed 1 lakh rupees from his father to convert a simple idea into business. He set up a small unit to manufacture voltage stabilizers in Kerala, where power fluctuation was notorious. Today, that idea has bloomed into a 1700 crore listed company employing 1900 people. Take a look at V-Guard story and perhaps you'll know how to combine the spirit of entrepreneurship with the art of giving, and that too without making much noise about it in the marketplace.
He saw a problem. He found a solution, no matter what the cost was. And once convinced, nothing could shake Kochouseph Chittilappilly. For instance, despite huge family pressure, he went ahead courageously and donated one of his kidneys at the age of 60 to an unknown person. Likewise, he displayed a similar conviction in business too. And not surprisingly, he has tasted success in all his ventures. One such success story is V-Guard Industries. To go back in time, after doing his MSc in physics from St. Thomas College in Thrissur, Kerala, the 25-year-old Kochouseph joined a local firm that made voltage stabilizers in 1973. But this firm closed down abruptly. Instead of finding another job, Kochouseph saw a great business opportunity in making voltage stabilizers, as power fluctuation was notorious in Kerala. With 1 lakh rupees borrowed from his father, Kochouseph set up V-Guard Industries in a small room in Kochi in 1977 with just 2 employees. It was a humble beginning, with the company making 50 voltage stabilizers a month. Today, V-Guard has grown manifold. It sells over 2 lakh voltage stabilizers a month. Besides, it has expanded its product range by manufacturing UPS systems, house wiring cables, LT cables, pumps, electric and solar water heaters, fans, kitchen appliances and switchgears. The journey to becoming a 1700 crore plus turnover company and building the V-Guard into a well-known brand in the South was not a cakewalk. The initial few years were smooth, but in 1984 it was faced with labor problems, and this seemed like the end of the road for Kochouseph. But a chance meeting with a priest of a local church changed his destiny. He hit upon a novel idea of outsourcing the manufacturing of voltage stabilizers to small-scale units run under the supervision of the church. Today, 100% of stabilizers and 60% of total production is outsourced. This unique outsourcing model has helped in generating impressive returns on capital employed while rationalizing the capex requirement for introduction of new product lines in various verticals, thus enabling the company to sustain its margins even in a weak economic environment. That immensely helped V-Guard to move from a one-product company in 1992 to manufacturing a range of products by 2006.
V-Guard started with stabilizers, and progressively on the strength of the equity that V-Guard built for stabilizer and for the company, V-Guard has subsequently expanded into a number of consumer categories. We expanded first into the electrical space with wires, and then we went on to launch pumps. And over the last 7-8 years, we have expanded our focus in the consumer domestic segment, the home segment, with launches in fans. Water heaters have become extremely strong, and more recently more active. That's a category that we are focusing very strongly for product differentiation and innovation along with fans. Last 2 to 3 years, we have expanded with switch gears. We have expanded with induction cooktop and mixer grinders. Yeah. Going forward, we are going to be focusing on the electrical consumer goods segments and the household small appliances segment. So these are two categories that we are going to focus to expand.
In 2006, Kochouseph's son, 26-year-old Mithun Chittilappilly, joined the company as executive director. Mithun, after his commerce graduation, did short stints at Deloitte and Hewlett-Packard. He took a break to do his MBA from the University of Melbourne, Australia, before joining the family business. It was trial by fire for Mithun. In 2008, the management decided to tap the capital market. But V-Guard's IPO coincided with the Lehman crisis, and institutional investors stayed away from the IPO. Moreover, V-Guard was just a 200 crore rupee company compared to its competitors like Havells, Finolex and Crompton Greaves, which were 10 times bigger. While the IPO did sail through with retail support, it made Mithun realize that the company has to grow at 25% plus rates if it had to reach anywhere close to its competitors. Mithun took up the challenge. In 2012, he was elevated to the post of managing director. His main concern was to get the brand and business out of southern markets. When he joined the company, more than 90% of revenues came from the southern market. Today, 67% comes from southern markets and 33% from non-south markets. Besides, he started moving resources out of stabilizers to other products. Today, stabilizers contribute only 19% to turnover compared to around 42% in 2006. V-Guard derives its revenues primarily from two segments: electronics, which contribute 31% to revenues, and electricals, which contribute 65% to revenues. The electronics segment comprises voltage stabilizers and UPS, standalone and digital, while the electrical segment comprises house wiring cables, LT cables, pumps, electric and solar water heaters and fans. V-Guard moved production completely out of Kerala. It set up plants in Tamil Nadu, Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh. Under Mithun's leadership, the company has built on its competitive strengths and expanded its network of channel partners and retailers across the country almost threefold since FY 2010 to 536 distributors, 5,194 dealers and about 25,000 retailers at the end of FY 2015. All this saw V-Guard's sales zoom. V-Guard's net revenues rose from 210 crore rupees in 2006-2007 to 1,756 crore rupees in 2015. Profit after tax rose from 13.50 crore rupees to 70 crore rupees during the same period. Well, the stock price too reflected these growth numbers. From its IPO price of 82 rupees, V-Guard Industries is currently trading at 900 rupees. Clearly, V-Guard Industries is now on a roll. Its new products like solar water heaters, switchgears and kitchen appliances will boost its growth further. On that note, it's time for a short commercial break. When we come back, CNBC TV18's Veena Krishna chats up with Kochouseph Chittilappilly and his son Mithun Chittilappilly in their office in Kochi to find out what aces they have up their sleeves. Also joining us on the show is Sandeep Uppal of HSBC.
Welcome back. V-Guard Industries has predominantly been a South Indian player, but over the past few years, the company has expanded its presence across India. Founder Kochouseph Chittilappilly has now handed over the reins of the company to his younger son, Mithun Chittilappilly. CNBC TV18's Veena Krishna caught up with father-son duo at their office in Kochi to find out what differentiates V-Guard Industries from its competitors and how they intend to grow V-Guard into a national brand. This is what they have to say. Take a look.
Mr. Chittilappilly, Mithun, Sandeep, thank you for joining us. Okay, Mr. Chittilappilly, if I can start with you, why did you choose to be an entrepreneur way back in 1977?
Telling frankly, when I was studying in college, my ambition was to become a scientist. But the job which I got was only a supervisor in a small company. And I worked there for 3 years. And I got a lot of experience by working there. At the same time, that company was not doing well. So my future became a question mark. So I was forced to quit and start my own in a small level.
Okay. Mithun, you joined the company in 2006 when V-Guard Industries turnover was less than 200 crore rupees. Today it's a 1,750 crore turnover company. How did you manage that?
I think for starters, we had a very good team of people. I think we had an extremely committed set of people that my dad was working with. We had a very strong brand in South at that time. Even at that time when we were a 200 crore company, we felt that the brand was extremely strong, and we had a great trade partners. So we did two things. One was to diversify away from South, because we had almost all of our revenues coming from southern part of the country, almost 95% at that time. So we tried to replicate whatever success we had here in other parts. Second thing what we did was, at that time stabilizer business was contributing about 50% of our revenues. So we tried to grow the other businesses which was there, but were not necessarily achieving the kind of scale that they were supposed to achieve. So we had these two kind of broad strategies, and I think they played out quite well in the last 6 years.
You operate in a very crowded market, so how do you really differentiate yourself?
I think one thing is, I think even when the company was really small, I think probably 1980s onwards, my dad used to be very focused on giving advertisements in papers. I think at that time newspaper and hoardings were the only method of advertising. So I think we are a company that was built on brand building much before this. We were aware that we were building a brand. So I think definitely building a brand, giving excellent after sales service, these were very core to the company even before it became a mantra for the entire industry. So I think a lot of those things early on did help, and we are still continuing to building on whatever was done. So I think that differentiates us, and that forces us to do things in a different way, and definitely consumers and trade are taking note of that.
So Sandeep, what differentiates V-Guard from other companies in this segment?
I guess if you look at V-Guard, it's in the sector which is very close to the consumer. So a lot of companies we've seen believe that success can be overnight. Now, one thing which is great about the V-Guard model is they've created what we believe is sustainable success. So if you go back over the 3 decades or so, they started, as Mr. Chittilappilly said, with a quality product, building a brand, and working in a market to consolidate their position, which is in South. Then once this was established, then they have gone for product expansion, geographic expansion, and now they're getting into a position where that expansion is sustainable, because they are opening up markets, they're opening up product categories. At the same time, if you see from the numbers perspective, and as bankers, that's something we always go back to once we've seen the business model, sales have increased, but not at this expense of profitability or margin. That's been maintained, and at the same time the companies ensured that they never over leveraged despite their spend on expansion or advertising. And since they've gone public, then obviously the whole transparency becomes that much more apparent. So I think these are the various qualities we see them of creating what can be termed as sustainable success.
So also interestingly, when you joined in 2006 and you took the company public in 2008, why did you go public, and did it change the way you operate?
So I think going public was definitely one of my dad's decisions, and he felt very strongly about it. I think there were a few things. One was that there were a team of very committed people who have been working with us for the last couple of decades. So I think we felt very strongly that there should be some sharing of wealth with them. We also wanted to. There were many options at that time, so we were looking at private equity vis-a-vis going public. And at that time, we also heard some, not so good stories about private equity players coming in and then, relationships not working out. So I think another reason we went directly for an IPO instead of getting private equity also was that we were very clear that we didn't want to, get into a situation where, it will be things difficult to run company, because there will be other people on the board and all that. So we decided that we will go public, but we will do it with the utmost transparency, and we will do justice to the smaller shareholders, and we will run it in the best possible manner we can. So I think all these kind of things have been achieved, and I think although a little bit late, but the stock market seems to have realized the true value of the company.
Okay. Mr. Chittilappilly, there's an interesting story on why the company went in for an outsourcing model. I mean, 50 to 55% you're outsourcing today. Take us through that.
Actually, that is because of a particular incident happened in Kerala. After starting V-Guard, around 5 to 6 years later, we also had some labor problems that time. So at the same time, market, there is a lot of demand for my stabilizers. At the same time, because of some labor issues, we are not able to produce enough quantity from our units. So I thought, is there any alternative method? So I thought we will outsource. We will arrange all the raw materials. We will send our engineers to those units. We will give the technology. So that's why we tried 1 or 2 units as a sample, and those 2 units started doing well. So we added more and more units, not only in Kerala, even in other states. Now I think around 60 or 70% of the production is mainly from outsourcing units.
So Mithun, how would you say V-Guard would look in 2020?
So one thing we are working on is premiumization of products, and we have started to do some of that work. Some of that is started to reflect in products like water heaters. We are going to do similar work on the others. The second thing we are doing is strengthening our sales system. So we are building a very strong sales force. So we currently have close to 650 people, but we are going to strengthen that even more, and we are going to use more technology to automate Salesforce systems and all that. So that is probably another thing that we will see happening. Otherwise, like I said, we would like to ideally see at least half of our revenues come from the non-South markets, which is right now at 30%. So that will be another key focus on building the non-South markets. So we will you see us putting in more money, more resources into those markets than our traditional markets, so that we can get there a little bit faster.
Okay, Mr. Chittilappilly, it was amazing for me to hear that you donated your kidney to an unknown person. A very big charitable step. Why did you do that? And also, it is interesting to know what is a point where a businessman begins to veer towards philanthropy.
That is quite personal. In fact, I used to interact with a number of patients, and we used to help some families of those who are having medical problems. So what I have noticed, if somebody is sick, then the problem is regarding the issue of, for example, if they are affected by a kidney problem, getting a donor is quite difficult. At the same time, my friends, my doctors, they say that if you are healthy, nothing wrong in donating one of your kidney if you are 100% healthy. So I want to prove to the society that this is nothing harm in it, so that even close relatives, they can also donate to their close relatives if they want. So that was the intention. It's not anything connected with CSR or not connected with, it's purely personal. Yeah. And it is not a big thing. Many people have already donated.
So Mithun, the immediate question that came to my mind to ask you is, what are the qualities of your father that is difficult for you to emulate?
So definitely, I think
you would not give a kidney.
Yeah, I don't know whether I will be able to donate my own kidney. It requires a lot of guts, and it requires a lot of determination. and it requires a lot of different level of thinking.
But I did it only at the age of 60, so you can wait up to 60.
So we are a lot similar and lot different in many ways. So I think I would say my dad is a very different kind of a businessman than others, where I've also met. So I think very early on, even if you've heard about the outsourcing story, we started working with NGOs and self-help group rather than sourcing it from China or going to another businessman to get it manufactured. So I think definitely this is a very different kind of a person. That's what I felt. Very socially mindful. He takes a lot of interest in social activities. He takes a lot of interest in what happens to the state of Kerala, a lot of this kind of things. So I think in that sense, a lot of us, we are very different. I tend to concentrate more on the business aspects, whereas he seems to, look at, more of a 360-degree kind of an aspect with society and, the state and everything.
Thank you, Mr. Chittilappilly. Thank you, Mithun. Thank you, Sandeep, for joining us.
Well, one must compliment the Chittilappillys for building a successful business in a state where labor problem has been the way of life. These are the mantras Chittilappillys applied to build V-Guard Industries. Brand building has been core to the company, building a foundation that makes it possible for sustainable growth, leveraging the outsourcing model successfully, taking calculated risk without over-leveraging. Well, these mantras have stood the test of time for V-Guard Industries. Before I go, here's a wonderful quote by Mr. Kochouseph Chittilappilly from his book, Practical Wisdom. If we can control our thoughts, we can control our minds. And if we can control our mind, we can control our lives. Well, Chittilappilly seems to have mastered the art of controlling his thoughts, mind and life, which is why he has tasted success. On that positive note, it is time to say goodbye. See you next week with another interesting episode. Till then, keep watching CNBC TV18.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.